Ready to go with my next interviewee now. I have Megan Lee joining me for a chat on my show. Welcome to my show, Megan Lee. How are we doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Where are we in the world where you are zooming in from?
So I'm in North Wales, in Wrexham. So we're a little bit on the map at the minute with Ryan Reynolds and Netflix and all that jazz. But
Oh,
yeah,
oh, brilliant. Yeah, great. So you are a rising star in a way. You are an emerging artist. That's what I was trying to say, emerging artist. You have a few singles out, doing the rounds. I'm going to start off with, I'm going to go straight into it, the here and now. You have a new single out called Lost Boy. Um, and I've had a quick listen to it. It's got a very distinctive sound to it. Is that the sound that you as a music singer-songwriter was aiming for?
definitely. I think it's one of my favourite tracks on the album because making country music is where my heart lies, and
Uh-huh.
I love all kinds of music, and I like the maybe pop side of things that's coming out now, but I'm a traditional kind of girl, so my influences come mostly from Dolly Parton, from Loretta Lynn,
Mm.
from Patsy Cline, so and then maybe more so now people who are recreating that sound in a modern way, like people like Margot Price, and I think that was the exact feel that I wanted for that song without really knowing that I wanted it. When I went into the studio and I spoke to Tom, who recorded and produced it, I was like, I know I want it to be traditional, but I don't quite know how I want that to
Mm.
be. And he was like, right, let's have a look at it. And when it actually came back to me as a full track, I was like, that is exactly the authentic sound that I wanted. And then from there, I was like, right, okay, I want all these tracks to have their own identity, but still be authentic.
Brilliant. So Lost Boy. So you mentioned you name checked some of the great country legends who are alive or not no longer with us. How did that come about? How did you get into discovering these artists at such a younger age?
Well, my parents are both musicians, so I was very lucky to have been brought up in that environment. And my dad was kind of into blues, rock and roll. That was always his thing. And my mum also into country music, and mum's win. That's how whatever mum says goes. But that's always been how it worked. But from both of them, my influence has always been old school. That's always just been the thing that I enjoyed, the kind of music that they enjoyed, I just in turn enjoyed, and we enjoyed making together. So I think that my love for old school country music, especially, comes from my mum, but I'm also a big fan of all like rock and roll, Brenda Lee, Connie Francis type things too. So yeah, I think that a lot of my influences have just come from the music that's been built under this roof.
Nice. And country music has come from America, like Nashville. Have you ever been to those parts at all? You've yet visiting?
I have. I'm very lucky to go. Oh gosh, I lose track of like what year it is now, but I think it was a couple of years
Mm.
ago we went out, and it was just an amazing experience just to see these places that you only ever hear about. That's the strangest thing, is that you hear about people playing in the Opry, or you hear about them playing in the Ryman, or you hear about them recording at Sun Records, but there's to actually be there and stand there and go, okay, so all these people did this here. It's just a completely different experience. And we stayed with a friend, so we weren't too far from Memphis, which was great. So we had to travel down and see Graceland, and just to be in Graceland and Elvis's home, it's just these were just experiences
Mm.
that the bucket is ticked. So
Amazing, amazing experience to have. And you hear like the legends, say like Johnny Cash or John Denver or Kenny Rogers. They name check like these American cities, and as you say, to be there, I guess, is in the moment.
yeah, I think that's what it was about, and to be in this place where all these people who I'm so influenced by have been. It's just like it's a feeling that you can't describe until you're there and you're doing it. That you know how impactful that they were on history, and just to think, oh well, what if me being in this small place at this one time just means that they've somewhat impacted my life? But imagine being a person who has impacted that many people further along the
Mm.
line. It's just amazing.
So these places inspired your music, maybe The Lost Boys. So going back to that song, you mentioned that you had two further releases from that record, and it will lead to an EP as well.
So I have already released the EP, which was really exciting. I released Lost Boy as a single. I had a couple of singles prior to Lost Boy, one of them being in the Welsh language, which is a little bit different, but it's good. I like to embrace my nationality in the Welsh language, which was great. But then as soon as I set out releasing Lost Boy, I was like, yeah, it's time for this EP because everybody had waited such a long time to hear my single and hear what was to come from that. So I think that the EP from that was really exciting. And prior to being a solo artist, me and my mum and dad were in a trio called Blue Jeans. So I'd been on the road from the age of about 11, and we'd released two albums as Blue Jeans that both had charted, which was great. So I think everyone had heard a lot of music that I'd been a part of, but they were really waiting for music that came from me. So I enjoyed that experience because rather than us being a group and telling our story, these songs on this EP were really my stories and my opinions of getting older and the things that I had to say. So I was just really happy with how well received it was.
Lovely. And Wales as well. You've had some amazing exports. As a young Welsh woman, respectively, yeah, who have you looked up to from those greats from your home country?
Well, I feel like everybody loves Tom Jones. I feel like that has to be a thing, doesn't it? But
Mm.
there's lots of people. I think that being in Welsh language school, which was what I did through primary school and high school, was great because whereas maybe some other countries don't embrace it as much, Wales is very much about choirs, about music, about these things. So it was really important in my school. And I remember from like being tiny that they were like, "Oh, come and sing in a choir, come and learn to play these instruments." So I think that as well as the influences that I had at home, it was impactful that I had a school that taught us that music and the arts were equally as important as any other subject.
Mm. That's so true. Being in a school which supports music, you kind of get just that little bit extra head start, don't you? You know, music lessons or um, tuition, you know.
Definitely. It reminded me that wherever I went that I could love music, that it was nice to come into a school and go, okay, well, outside of school at the age of sort of 12, 13, I've been recording an album, but in school, I still want to be a part of this choir. I want to be a part of the music that you're making here. And maybe I learned skills from in school that I took home to my work outside of school. And then skills I learned outside of school, I took into school when
Mm.
we were doing projects. So it just felt like that whole entire thing came hand in hand. And I just knew from the get go that this is what I loved.
And your music tracks as well, are they available on, say, Spotify and Apple Music and the rest? Brilliant,
Yeah,
Megan Lee. And what are your thoughts on? Do you think these streaming services should support the artists more, whether it's financially or just give them a bit more support and get their music out there?
I think that as an artist, every artist would agree that streaming makes it extremely difficult for us to, receive what it is that we deserve from our writing because we put all this hard work into writing these songs, into recording them. And whereas you're selling something as a CD, a hard copy, that investment is coming then back into you. And even sometimes with iTunes, that is still a similar thing. But when it comes to sort of like not just Spotify, any sort of streaming thing, that what you're receiving in return isn't the same. But on the other hand of that, I'm also a human being who loves listening to music,
Mm.
who knows that as a human being, I don't have, well, not just me, people don't always have the money to be paying £5 for an album here or £5 for an album there. But if they're paying a set fee for the month, then if they weren't on Spotify or if they weren't on Amazon Music or they weren't on, then maybe they wouldn't hear my music
Mm.
because they wouldn't have the money to go and singly buy my EP that's just come out. But they're already on Spotify, so they go, oh, that's somebody I haven't heard of before. So it's all just pros and cons, isn't it? There's
Yeah,
got to be give and take.
of course, of course. I wanted to ask you about gigging as well. You're very fashionable as well. Like I know you wear your hats as well, your wardrobe. Is that something that is part of what you do, your act?
Yeah, I think that it's always been my style. I've never been a kind of person who was afraid to dress differently. I remember in school where people would come in and they'd always, that's how fashion works. There's always something that people wear and they tend to wear the
Mm.
same thing and that's okay. But there would be people who would come in and they'd be a little bit shy that they're wearing this thing that not everybody else is wearing. But I think that anything can be worn with confidence. That was always my
Mm.
my key in school, and I would go in and go, yeah, what I'm wearing is different to you, but look how great it looks. Like, and I think I've just carried that with me forever. I'm big on the boots, big on the hat, and that's my style. It's
Mm.
what I do. So yeah, I enjoy that side of it just as much,
That's
getting all
good.
glam.
I'm all one for someone, an individual standing out from the crowd, put it that way.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing wrong with being individual. Everybody can be like everybody else.
Mm. Cool. Megan Lee, as well, where's best to find you on social media platforms, or if you have a website, feel free to fire away.
So on Facebook, you can find me under Megan Lee Music, and on Instagram, it's the same, but just all lower cases. And my website, I feel like I'm probably going to forget. I feel like it's .com. It's got to be meganleemusic.com.
Cool. I'm sure.
There's always so many things to remember, but they'll find me somewhere. But yeah, on socials, there I am.
Cool. I'm sure with the power of Google, just type Megan Lee music, and they'll discover you. They'll find you. Right. It's been amazing speaking with you. I just want to say thank you for taking time out to speak to me today, and also for me to do really is just play Lost Boy on my show. Yeah.
Perfect.
Would you like to introduce it on? So this is Danison Radio Show, syndicated show. Would you like to introduce your new single on?
Of course. This is one of my singles by Megan Lee. This is one called Lost Boy.
Great. Best of luck with everything. All right.
Lovely, thank you.